Now I want to talk briefly about three serious ones. We're first going to talk about cancer, some of the more serious diseases. This came out in 1997. We had spent $30 billion on a war on cancer. This bill was signed by Nixon when he was in office. And despite 26 years of spending this $30 billion, researchers suggest putting emphasis on prevention. Now, you give me $30 billion, 1 year's time, I'll find you a cure. And why couldn't they find a cure for $30 billion? I mean, we only took $100 million to fly a man to the moon, put him on the moon's surface, pick him up, and bring him back. $100 million to do that. $30 billion, they looked for a cure, but they didn't think outside the box. They weren't really looking for a cure. They spent all their time looking for a better chemotherapy with your tax money, because that's where the money is. Well, during that time, every 5 years or so, they doubled the amount of money for research. The death rate remained the same. So they weren't looking in the right place, obviously, or really looking that hard. I know your doctors didn't tell you about this one. This one came out in October of 1998. There was a Harvard Nurses Health Study. It had 90,000 nurses, 20 years of data, and they could only use 15 years of the 20 years of data in this study for these 90,000 nurses because for the first 5 years there were not enough nurses using multiple vitamins. And what they found out was these 90,000 nurses who take multiple vitamins for at least 15 years can cut the risk of colon cancer by 75%. Are there any drugs that will do that? Is there a drug in the market that will cut your risk of colon cancer by 75%? No. How come your doctors didn't email you, call you up, call you, bring you in, say, look, here's something really remarkable. Just by taking one multivitamin every day, you can reduce your risk of colon cancer by 75%. Yahoo! Did they do that? No. I bet not a single one of you got any direct communication from your medical doctor telling you this. They read it in their journals, a Harvard Nurses Health Study. And believe it or not, how many of you have ever heard that a low-fat diet will reduce your risk of colon cancer and breast cancer and all kinds of cancers? How many of you heard that? Whether you believe it or not. Yeah. This is one of the American Cancer Society, doctors, the American Medical Association. Everybody says low-fat diets will reduce your risk of cancer. High-fat diets increase your risk of cancer. Harvard Nurses Health Study, 90,000 nurses, 20 years of data. They compared the rate of cancer in these 90,000 nurses, comparing those that had more than 50% of their calories as fat, which is a very, very high-fat diet, compared to those that had less than 20% of their calories as fat, which is a very low-fat diet. And if fat content of your diet had anything to do with the rate of cancer, the ones having more than 50% of their calories as fat should have a lot more cancer than the ones having less than 20%. I mean, that's real simple stuff, right? Well, this came out in March of 1999. It was published in the Journal of the American Medical Association. Again, they compared the rate of cancer in these 90,000 nurses, comparing those that had less than 20% of their calories as fat versus those that had more than 50% of their calories as fat. They found no measurable difference. The amount of fat you eat in your diet has nothing to do with the rate of cancer. The amount of fat you eat in your diet has nothing to do with the rate of cancer. Nothing. It turns out the amount of fat in your diet has nothing to do with the rate of cancer. It's how you cook the fat. It's how you cook the fat. Not the amount of fat, it's how you cook the fat. This study came out in 1998, University of South Carolina. Big study. Study links very well done meat to breast cancer, and then later on to prostate cancer and colon cancer. Among women who preferred all their meat very well done with a doneness score of 9, where the fat was burnt, and it tastes very good, believe me, burnt fat tastes very good. I used to eat it when I was a kid. There was a 462% greater chance of having breast cancer than for women who ate their meat rare or medium. Not a 5% increase in risk. Not a 50%, not a 100%, not a 200%, not a 300%, not a 400%, but a 462% increase in risk of getting breast cancer, colon cancer, and prostate cancer if you eat your meat cooked well done and eat burnt animal fat. Now, after tonight, you can't claim you were not informed. If you go home, you continue to eat burnt animal fat, whether it's in hot dog skins over the fire, you know, or you're grilling chicken skin and eating it that way, or you're grilling your hamburgers burnt. You know, I get people, I cringe. People, I want my hamburger burnt. I don't want to see anything pink in there. I want it burnt. I want like charcoal. They're doomed. Even God can't help them. You know, when you're that stupid, God can't help you. And when you're at the bottom end of the gene pool, He's got to let you go. Now, whether you believe it or not, how many of you heard that a high fiber diet will reduce your risk of colon cancer? Whether you believe it or not, how many of you heard that? Yeah, that's another one of those truisms that the American Cancer Society and your doctor wants you to believe. Of course, Quaker Oats likes that one, right? Low fat diet, high fiber diet. Harvard Nurses Health Study, 90,000 nurses. They compared the rate of colon cancer, these 90,000 nurses, comparing those that had a high fiber diet versus those with a low fiber diet. They didn't like the results, so they threw in 50,000 male doctors. They compared their rate of colon cancer, the ones who had a high fiber diet versus those with a low fiber diet. Now they had 140,000 human subjects, and this came out in January of 1999. It was published in the New England Journal of Medicine, very respectable medical journal. 90,000 female nurses, 50,000 male doctors. They said high fiber diets don't cut colon cancer by any measurable amount. Zero. Nada. Eating a high fiber diet did not protect you in any way, shape, or form from any cancer. Zero. Why do doctors get so excited about a high fiber diet? Because it will reduce your cholesterol. That's because it absorbs everything that you eat, including minerals that are required to keep you from getting high blood pressure, osteoporosis, arthritis, cancer. And so people who eat multigrain breads for their toast and English muffins and pancakes and waffles for breakfast, people who eat multigrain pastas, people who eat multigrain breads and whole wheat breads and grind their own wheat and all that sort of stuff for their sandwiches, and people who eat whole wheat and multigrain bread for dinner, they eat whole wheat ice cream. I mean, you can go to extreme, right? They have a 500% increase in risk of all these other degenerative diseases which kill you. So by eating a high-fiber diet, your risk of those other diseases goes up and doesn't affect your risk of cancer at all. The only thing that doctors get excited about, really, about a high-fiber diet is it lowers your cholesterol. And does that do anything for you? No. Doesn't do a thing.